Hello everyone, this is Highlander from MTG Cardsmith doing another custom Magic the Gathering card review, and today we are reviewing a card by Suleman. He's been making some Borderlands cards we've been reviewing, and I got my special guest with me today, Islandsnake.
Hey, everybody.
And the card we have right now is Scooter, Mechanic Savant.
Scooter.
Scooter,
I hate him.
again, I'm not super familiar with Borderlands, but all right. So let's see what we got here. So one red for a 1/2. Okay, that passes the island seal of approval there. It's a legendary creature, human artificer. Vehicle spells you control cost one less to cast. Do you know what a vehicle is?
I mean,
I know you know what a vehicle is, but like, do you know what a vehicle is in Magic context?
I didn't know. I thought I was about to ask, like, is it like an equipment or?
Kind of. It's. I'll show you. I'll show you some vehicles. Type vehicle. All right, let's find a simple vehicle here. Okay, so like that one's got weird art. Let's find a. Okay, so here Boma Bizarre Barge. Okay, so basically when you play this, it enters the battlefield as just an artifact. It has power and toughness, but it can't attack or block. Okay. And then it has this crew ability where it says tap any number of creatures you control with total power 3 or more. And crew can vary. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And then this vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. So essentially you tap some creatures to like drive it, and then it becomes a 5/5 creature that can attack.
Okay. And if the creature gets targeted by an effect while after this happens, does the crew die?
No, I mean
Okay.
the it remains
It,
an artifact creature until end of turn.
okay. Yeah. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
And generally, the thing with vehicles is they are cheaper for their power and toughness because you have to,
Screw
spend,
them.
you have to crew them. So, all right. So this makes vehicles cheaper. At the beginning of your end step, each vehicle you control with no +1/+1 counters on it deals 3 damage to you. Okay. Tap red, put a +1/+1 counter on target vehicle. It gains haste until end of turn.
What?
All right. So what do you think about this card?
I mean, I like that he's trying to do a lot here with like the theme, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
like the vehicle theme. I'm a little bit put off at like the tap red thing at the bottom. Like, refresh me on the crew mechanics again. I know we just went over it, but like, can he use that ability and also crew a vehicle?
He cannot. No.
So that I think that's a fail for this card for me. I know he's supposed to be a mechanic, not necessarily a driver, but I feel like if he's like here to buff vehicles, but can't really crew a vehicle, and also he kind of makes all the vehicles you have worse if you don't have counters on them.
Yeah. Well, okay. So yeah, you're definitely touching on some good points there. So, okay, so first of all, I like this. This part's great. Vehicle spells you control cost 1 less to cast, which is very powerful on a 1-drop. Let's not forget that this is a 1-cost card, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's why this is here. I don't quite. So this is actually the one that I have the biggest issue with. Is so at the beginning of your end step, each vehicle you control with no counters on it deals 3 damage to you. So
Oof.
this, that's pretty big. Um, I mean, I don't understand why this is there personally, and also don't understand the flavor of it. Right? Like, okay, so I
I guess
think
he's a bad mechanic. That's
no, he's a savant. He's a mechanic savant.
yeah, but what kind of mechanic savant like destroys all of your other vehicles?
Well,
Like, is it insinuating all other vehicles are just like falling apart unless he touches them?
maybe. Yeah, maybe. I'm not quite sure what this is trying to say about the character.
Can
Or
you refresh me on this? If you play this card, can you tap it on the first turn that you play it?
no, no, it has summoning
So
sickness.
that if you play this card, it's like a nuke if you already have your vehicles out. Like you hit yourself for 3.
That's true.
That's kind of weird too.
I my guess is the reason this is here is to balance out the fact that this is a 1-mana card with a pretty strong effect.
Hmm.
But I don't quite see the flavor here.
I actually think
I
if you
don't quite.
remove the bottom 2 parts of the card and just boom, this card's fine then.
Yeah, or yeah, or you could do something like vehicle spells you control cost 1 less to cast, and like crew costs of vehicles are reduced by 1 or something like that, but not less than 1. Something kind of like that.
Yeah.
So here's another thing to point out about this card. It's kind of interesting. So he makes vehicles 1 cheaper, but unless you pay an extra mana, the vehicle hurts you on your turn. So it's, in a sense, he's offsetting his own cheapening, if that makes sense, right? It's like vehicle spells cost 1 less to cast, but you got to pay a red when they come in, otherwise they hurt you. You know, so in a sense they cost the same, except he puts a counter on it, and it gains haste. And if that's the case, then this card might as well just say, like, whenever a vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains haste, and then you don't have to have like any of this other text, you know. And then he can also help crew the vehicle as well.
Right? Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of like little counterintuitive things about this card the way it is right now, where it's like, not only can you, if you play the cards in the wrong order, you're dealing damage to yourself, which I think is an odd like quirk of this card. Like, if you have a vehicle down, you put this down, but you don't have mana to pay, and you can't tap it on the first turn. Like, you're nuking yourself for 3 for no reason.
So that's if you play this after a vehicle. So it's it's basically like, okay, so if you play this guy on turn 1, and my dogs. Hold on 1 second. All right, sorry. What was I saying? Okay, so if you play this guy on turn 1, and then like let's say turn 2 you play a vehicle on curve, like the vehicle is cost 1 less, so like you're playing like you're playing like a an Ether Sphere Harvester on turn 2, which is pretty strong. You take 3 damage, right? On your end step. Now you can, if it's an Ether Sphere Harvester, you can crew it, and that's pretty strong, right? So like it kind of, in that case, I actually don't mind the 3 damage, because like basically being able, but the Ether Sphere Harvester doesn't have haste, so like it only has haste if you pay the extra. So it's like if you wait a turn, so you can either do that, but then if you wait a turn, you play the Ether Sphere Harvester, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gets haste, but now you can't crew it.
Yeah, that's kind of...
So it's like it's just a little awkward. Yeah. I would prefer this card to just be a little simpler. We mentioned a couple variants of it. I think. I mean, you could even like on this ability say like that vehicle becomes crewed, or you could make this not a tap ability, and just say activate this ability only once each turn. That's another thing you could do. And that way he can help crew the vehicle. It still kind of has this awkward sort of dance though, with like, well, you're getting vehicles cheaper, but if you don't actually use this ability, you get this like, you get hurt.
What if I don't know if this makes because we kind of went over the vehicle mechanic, and like part of the flavor of the vehicle mechanic is it's cheaper than its power because you have to crew it.
Right.
What if the first part of the card just said, vehicles are cheaper to crew by 1 or something like that, instead of like double downing on this cost like saving? It's already a cost saving because it's a vehicle. The cost is like made up for in the crew, so reduce the crew count instead of reducing the cost, and then just cut the rest of the card almost. I mean, you can have the second part, I guess, but
I mean that's certainly one way to go. He is the one thing I will say is he's a mechanic, so like, he's not a driver, he's a mechanic. So like making cards cheaper to crew, I guess that could maybe work mechanically. I'm not exactly sure, but I like what he's done here, where he's just made vehicles cheaper. I think that's fine. It's these other 2 abilities that are just kind of awkward, I think. And I don't know. Like you could probably even just say like, you could probably even just make this say like vehicle spells you control cost 1 less to cast, vehicles you control of haste, or something like that, and that would be a strong simple card. Or vehicle spells you control cost 1 more to cast. Whenever a vehicle enters the battlefield under control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. That really like plays with the mechanic theme, right? Where he's like making he's fixing up your vehicles, making them stronger. Like you could make a very flavorful card with far fewer words, and I think it would behave a little bit, or excuse me, it would play better. So yeah, I also have to complain about the art. This is just a screenshot from the game, and it looks terrible. So I mean, you know, I know people probably groan when I talk about art because I think some people maybe don't care about it, but I think it's really important that your cards are. Sorry, my dogs. I think it's really important that your cards look nice, and again, that the art's not distracting, and in this case, the art is distracting because it's ugly, you know. And that's not a dig. Yeah. That's not a dig on you, Suleman. It's just this is an ugly screenshot that you've chosen for this card, right? So it's like, I mean, I understand that it's going to be hard to find somebody who like did some fan art of Scooter, but
yeah, because nobody likes them anyway.
Yeah, but that's just the risk you take when you create a card like this. Sometimes you're not going to be able to find art for your reference cards. I mean, I'm running into that too. I'm making some Lord of the Rings cards right now, and sometimes I have an idea for a card, and I just can't find the art for it, and it just means I have to come up with a different idea. So, what do you give? What rating do you give this card?
I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 because
2 out of 5?
I really don't like the 3 damage to you mechanic in this card.
I think I'll give this one a 3 out of 5. Like, I agree. I think this card has a lot of room to improve. I do like the idea of a 1-mana card that makes your vehicles cheaper. I think that's like the coolest part about the card, really.
Yeah, I agree with that part. Honestly, if it was just that, I would be like, this card's great.
Yeah, I agree.
The rest of it kind of like
the rest
confuses it for me.
The rest of it really brings it down. So, yeah, I'll give it a 3 out of 5. But yeah, it has potential. I'll leave it at that. Okay, that's our review of Scooter Mechanic Savant. Thank you guys for watching.